Hey, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, call halal Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rekal Kodash, and of course, double honors go out to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who, through the Holy Spirit, continue to teach us this truth. All right. This is Naaman with the DC camp. And since today, well, this whole weekend, as a matter of fact, it is now Monday, the 31st of May, the last day in May. Wartime is going fast. But in any case, we're talking about the Tulsa Race Massacre, not riot, massacre. All right, 100 years ago. All right, so, wow. This is going to get into a lot. This particular article goes a little deeper than most I have ever read, because it never really addressed, or even if they even knew, what happened after these two key central characters here afterwards. All right, but in any case, it's from the Washington Post. And it says, his arrest sparked the Tulsa Race Massacre. Then Dick Rowland disappeared. In the caption here, you see they're marching us down the street after taking Jake's firearms and everything. And it says captured Negroes on way to convention hall during Tulsa race riots. All right, there you go. It says he liked to call himself Diamond Dick. Dick Rowland, a tall teenager with velvet skin, wore a diamond ring as he shined shoes in downtown Tulsa. Rowland, 19, had recently dropped out of Booker T. Washington High School, where he was a star football player, because he was making so much money polishing the shoes of oil men in a city that billed itself as the oil capital of the world. All right. On May 30th, 1921, Rowland took a break from his shoe stand inside a pool hall and walked to the Drexel building to use the only public restroom for black people in segregated Tulsa. Rowland passed Renberg's, a department store that occupied the first two floors of the Drexel building, and stepped into an open wire cage elevator operated by a 17-year-old white girl named Sarah Page. What happened next remains murky. According to historians and reports, about one of the worst episodes of racial violence in U.S. history. Yes, one of the worst. Rowland may have accidentally stepped on Page's foot, prompting her to shriek, or tripped and bumped into her. All right, like I say, it's a little more to it than that. It says, when the elevator doors opened, Dick Rowland ran, and a clerk in Renberg's called police. Rowland was arrested and accused of assaulting a white girl. Though the charges were eventually dropped. Listen to this. And Page later wrote a letter exonerating him. So she wrote a letter. He didn't do shit. The accusation, however, was enough to infuriate them good white folk. Here's the... Hey, take a look. There's the... As in often the case, if anybody has ever had a chance, and I encourage you, if you haven't, to do so, the book 100 Years of Lynching by Ralph Ginsberg. It's a collection of stuff just like this. They help to incite shit. All right? Look at this. Nabbed Negro for attacking girl in elevator. It says 3 hours after the Tulsa Tribune hit the street with the headline, Nabbed Negro for attacking girl in elevator, it was too late. Hundreds of white men gathered at the Tulsa courthouse where Rowland was being held. After all, don't you dare violate the Edomite, his cave bitch. Don't you do that. No, no, no. As it said, 3 hours after the Tulsa Tribune hit the street with the headline, 3 hours after this shit, hundreds of white men gathered at the Tulsa courthouse where Rowland was being held. Black World War I veterans who wanted to protect Rowland from being lynched rushed to the courthouse to defend him. A shot was fired and all hell broke loose, a massacre survivor recalled later. As the whites moved north, they set fire to practically every building in the African American community, including a dozen churches, 5 hotels, 31 restaurants, 4 drugstores, 8 doctor's offices, more than 2 dozen grocery stores, and the Black Public Library. According to a 2001 report by the Oklahoma Commission to study the Tulsa race riot of 1921, by the time the violence ended, the city had been placed under martial law. Thousands of Tulsans were being held under armed guard, as I showed you in the picture at the top, and the state's second largest African American community had been burned to the ground. And you know what? Like I said, this was an oil-rich town. Now, one has to wonder, well, you don't even have to run too hard, but could all of this have been, you know how Jake, I mean, not Jake, you know how these Edomites are when it comes to Jake, and take Gad, all right? What he did when they found out that, yeah, they made treaties with him and everything, but often is the case, the natural resources found, and they do all this evil, twisted, wicked shit, back out of the agreement, or whatever have you, stage some shit, just to get Jake off of the land. Like I said, they already proved that the man didn't do anything. She signed a report. Yeah, he didn't do nothing. But they didn't inform anybody else. So my thing is, they used all that energy. And they knew what these motherfuckers were going to do. Perfect opportunity. Anyway, continuing on. Witnesses reported seeing bodies tossed into the muddy Arkansas River or dumped into mass graves, making it impossible to count the dead. There he goes. Jake right there. Laying in the street. It says, while smoke still rose from the ashes of Greenwood, Tulsa Sheriff Willard McCullough and his deputy, Barney Cleaver, one of the first black lawmen in Oklahoma, hustled Dick Rowland out of town. Rowland, the central figure in the race massacre, would disappear, adding to the uncertainties that surround the century-old attack. Now here's where it gets juicy. It says, as Tulsa commemorates the centennial of the massacre this weekend, the city is still haunted by unresolved questions about it. How many people were killed? What happened to the bodies? Who were the white perpetrators? Are there mass graves? What happened to Dick Rowland? It is mysterious because we just don't know much about Dick Rowland, the teenager whose arrest was a catalyst for the massacre, said Christy Williams, an educator and a community organizer in Greenwood. In Tulsa, Rowland has become almost a mythical figure and a subject of legend and folklore. Who is Dick Rowland in history? We know he was a hard-working black man whom racists falsely accused. Goodwin said from her research that she believes Sarah Page never accused Rowland of anything, and Page disappeared too. My point, which I briefly expounded on, they took advantage of the situation, all right, because they didn't, out of jealousy and envy, they didn't want Jake. These are niggers. Now they're doctors and lawyers and property owners, and see, Dick Rowland and Sarah Page survived the massacre, all the pain, God dang it, all the pain and turmoil, and they leave Tulsa with not even the smell of smoke on them. Who was Dick Rowland? One fact many historians agree upon is Dick Rowland was not his original name. He was born Jimmy Jones around the year 1903. All right. It says he and his two sisters were orphans in Veneta, a small Oklahoma town about 60 miles from Tulsa. They were unofficially adopted by a woman named Damie Ford. He was probably 3 or 4 years old when she took him in. Ford eventually moved to Tulsa and married Dave Rowland, whose last name is sometimes spelled Rowland or Rowland in public records. A John Rowland is listed in the 1920 census in Tulsa on East Archer Street with Damie Rowland and Dave Rowland. John Rowland, historians say, was still a child when he told people he wanted his first name to be Dick. He liked the name Diamond Dick, which is what he was calling himself. Dick Rowland is pictured in the 1921 yearbook for Booker T. Washington High School. He could have dropped out after the picture's taken. All right, look at that. Dressed to the nines. You know them crackers do not want to see this. Look at this. dressed to, well, I'm not going to say that, but sharp. All right. This is 1921, remember? It says Eloise Cochran Price, the daughter of massacre survivor Clarence Rowland, and a cousin of Dick Rowland, claims Dick and Sarah not only knew each other before he stepped on the elevator, but were in love and were planning to defy Oklahoma's ban on interracial marriage. Remember, she's 17. They were planning on getting married, she told an audience at the Oklahoma Black Caucus Gala last month. They had spent many Sundays over at my grandma's house at family dinners. When the white mob gathered outside the Tulsa courthouse, she said, the mayor, the sheriff, and the marshal were aware that Dick had not attacked Sarah. There had been no attempted rape of any kind. However, that information was not given up nor received by the mob that was gathered to hang Dick Rowland. Backing up what I had initially said, they wanted this to happen. They allowed it to happen. Why? Because they didn't want Jake there in the first damn place. In September 1921, remember, you can't, all these wicked devices of this devil, man, he says, oh, hell, we might as well go there. This is just another means of doing this. Let's see. Sorry, I thought I already had it loaded. But, we bring this out sometimes. This is Micah 2. It says, woe to them that, this is Micah 2 and 1, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage, which he has done. He's running around here calling himself the Jews. That's our heritage. And that's another means of identifying this bastard also, is because that's what he's done with, when you go throughout history. He's taken on the nationality and pretending to be anybody and everybody except for who he really is. And that damning information is being brought out now of who he actually is. This is, I got to go back. This is 2 Corinthians 10 and 4. It says, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. Why? Because the truth is bringing this devil down. And that's what we're out there telling people, the truth. But mighty through the Most High to the pulling down of strongholds. What's those strongholds? These lies has been taught. 5, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of the Most High. And what we're doing now, one of the big things is Christianity. That plantation Christianity that has damaged to this day the minds of our people, and they're in that rut and they can't get out. And bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Hamashiach Yahushua. There you go. All right, back to the article. That's what we're doing. In September 1921, the charges against Dick Rowland were dropped according to records. The hell? 1, 2, 3, 4 months? Well, a little over 3. Doesn't give you the exact date, but Charles Franklin Barrett, the Oklahoma National Guard Adjutant General, whose troops were called into Tulsa during the rampage, concluded the massacre was caused by an impudent Negro, a hysterical girl, and a yellow journal. And he is... First, let's get that word impudent. Just so y'all don't, Don't fret here. Wait a minute. Let's see. Hold on. I'm going to navigate out of this. Let's see. Here we go. Let's look up that word there. Move my mug out the way. Emptied it. Alright. It says offensively bold or disrespectful. Why? It was 1921. What are you doing with a white woman? You got to remember, this is the same time that the boxer, Jack Johnson, alright, what happened with him? What did they do to get him? It was called the Mann Act because he was with an Edomite. Alright, and he went across what? State lines? That's how he got hemmed up. It says offensively bold or disrespectful, insolent or impertinent, alright, shameless, brazen, alright. That was Jake, you know. This is 1921, remember? So that adjutant general, that National Guardsman, was right on point. And the Yellow Journal, the fucking media allowed it. It says on September 28, 1921, the Topeka Plain Dealer newspaper reported it was brought out in an investigation that he was entirely innocent, the girl never having complained that such were the facts as published in a local white paper. Sarah Page has vanished and has never been apprehended since the day she made a statement refuting the charges alleged against Rowland. Most historians agree Rowland escaped Tulsa. Where he landed is another story. Several reports say Sheriff McCullough took Rowland to Kansas City, but Rowland may have secretly returned to Tulsa in the fall of 1921. He came to the tent where Damie Rowland was living after her boarding house was burned down in the massacre. She fed him and they talked some, and Dick said he was so sorry, but there were only so many ways he could express his remorse. What was done, Mamie said. In a 1970 interview with the Tulsa historian Ruth Avery, she lived a long time, Damie Rowland said he had asked her about, this is like 49 years later. It says Damie Rowland said he had asked her about people who died in the massacre and those who survived. He left the tent before dawn. He wrote to her every month from Kansas City. He told her that Paige was in Kansas City too. Hey, that's Jake. Dick said that Sarah felt terrible that the police had arrested him for something he didn't do, but she never talked at all about the burning and killing set in motion by her lies. Go figure. If Dick still loved Sarah, he didn't say. Then her name disappeared from Dick's letters. And not long after that, he moved to Oregon, where he found work in shipyards along the coast. Damie Rowland told Avery that she continued to receive letters from Dick until the 1960s. Finally, Damie told Avery she received a letter from a friend of Dick saying he had been killed in an accident on the wharf. Carlson said Rowland may have been killed in a port explosion in Oregon, but Dick Rowland's name does not appear on the list of people killed in that explosion. He was probably using a different name altogether. I suspect when you are in the center of something like this, he was probably terrified to be more public. We have no documentation whatsoever. That's part of the folklore around the whole massacre. There is a lot of stuff we don't know. Unless something concrete shows up, we will never know. So there you have it. Look at that. Look at that. The lengths that these devils will go. How can you trust anything? People that would do something like this. How can you trust anything? How can you trust their version of history? But our people, the majority of them, that's what they do. Take this jab. They're trusting blindly, I might add, because they're not telling you something. To say that you're putting your life in their hands is putting it mildly. All right. But you get what you get. You trust. For you Jakes that trust in oppression, this is oppression. Wearing a face diaper around and nobody around you because you think and you don't understand the basics of when it comes to stuff like this. Why don't you look it up? I didn't want to get on that tangent, but this is all connected. These devils got to go, pure and simple. So I won't ramble any longer, but this is, again, the 100 years since this went down. This Tulsa race massacre, not riot, massacre. But this was common because not only with Gad over here, but Jake, after slavery, you know what the deal is on that. We were never set free, but after the Emancipation Proclamation, after the end of the Civil War, Jake established numerous amount of settlements, and was doing all right. But the common thread in all of that, as in this, some were not quite this severe, but still, these Edomites found a way to get us up out of there. I think it's, what is it called? Seneca in New York, where it's now Central Park. Jake had that. North Carolina, you had to go all the way out to Nebraska, places in Texas, Chicago, California. You'll find stories wherever and you still haven't figured out that this isn't our rest, that as long as this devil rules over us, that you're never going to be able to establish anything. You got these idiots talking about, was it Umar Johnson, all these other idiots talking about the black dollar. You know how stupid that is? No, this man, this evil piece of shit, needs to be taken out of power completely. All right, and that's what Yahweh Shai, not only him, but these other heathen, he's coming back to take all the crowns, as the scriptures say. All right. That's the only way we'll be, was it Deuteronomy 33 and the last 2 or 3 scriptures there about Israel dwelling alone in safety, unlike those pretenders over there in the land now. All right. I believe it's Deuteronomy 33 and 32. Another way you know that they're not the people. All right, so I'm not going to ramble on anymore, but again, this article from the Washington Post, his arrest sparked the Tulsa race massacre. Then Dick Rowland disappeared. So they were involved to a certain extent. Also, in another article some years ago, I read that that place she worked at was they were going to pull the plug on it. She was going to be out of a job. That might have also played a part, but it didn't say it in this one. So just something else to bear in mind. All right. So with that, once again, call halal Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakal Kodash. Double honors once again to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. So, for the Akim out there on the highways and byways, continue to pray for your brethren, all over the world that are out here putting their lives and, on the line. But that's what we do. All right, so with that, hey, shalom.